The Mughal kings of India regularly played cards with their courtiers to test the value of men and to establish harmony and good fellow feeling. It is said that the colorful Ganjifa cards ranked in popularity in court circles with older games like chess and chaupar. Ganjifa comes from the Persian word ganj, which means treasure. It signifies both playing cards and card games in India, Nepal, Iran, and some Arab countries. Ganjifa is believed to have come to India with the first Mughal emperor, Babur. According to the Baburnama, a chronicle of Babur's times, he introduced the game to India in the summer of 1527, when he sent Ganjifa cards as a gift to a friend in Sindh. The Maharaja of Mysore, Mummadi Krishnaraja Wadiyar, was also a great aficionado of the game. During his reign in the early 19th century, he employed numerous artists to paint these cards, which were known as chaddas. The Maharaja also designed an endless series of card games and had some of these painted on the walls of the Jagan Mohan Palace of Mysore. Ganjifa cards are precious heirlooms. By means of their delicate, sensitive art, they crystallize our entire heritage and also provide a window to the past. The art is fast disappearing because there are no royal patrons today and few takers for the traditional art in modern India. Today's Ganjifa artists are saddled with the awesome responsibility of saving their art from extinction. Artists from around the country are making valiant efforts to preserve this priceless heritage. Raghupati Bhatta of Mysore is one of them. Bhatta's speciality is his fresh and original approach to Ganjifa. His inspiration flows from his profound knowledge of Hindu scripture, his deeply religious lifestyle, and the history of the Mysore region. Raghupati Bhatta develops images from the great epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, but his works go beyond the traditional framework.
The great thing about traditional art is that you are guided by the past, and hence unanxiously, if you are a good artist, if you are careful with your lines, you are sure of what you produce because you are guided by the entire past. But when you feel that it is not enough, you individually innovate. But you have to innovate in such a way that the broad features of the traditional art are not lost. And I think Raghupati Bhatt does this extremely well. For somebody who doesn't know the art, it looks like traditional art. But if you observe him closely, he has been using his own mind, his own creativity in not only in drawing lines, but interpreting even the myths. I have a special regard for that kind of art. I will tell you why. One gets a little fatigued by modern art. Fatigued because many times one has to pretend that one understands modern art. So it's a burden on the viewer sometimes. And one is not sure of one's appreciation, you know. But if you have an artist like Raghupati Bhatt, he doesn't just reproduce, but he innovates. And hence, it has the advantage of modern art in the sense that it allows creativity, it allows innovation, it allows individual talent, but at the same time, it is within the frame of something that you understand. And hence, when I look at traditional art, I am at ease because there is something which I already respond to, and as I go on viewing it, I may see, oh, this artist is not like the other artists. He or she has done something new. And I think that's where I would like to keep Raghupati Bhatt, place him among traditional artists. He's a traditional artist with a mind of his own.
Raghupathi's Ganjifas are quite distinctive. They are made by soaking layers of old cotton cloth in a concoction of boiled tamarind seeds and gum. The cloth is given a priming of ganji or rice gruel and coated with a layer of white clay. This is to toughen the material and extend the life of the painting. The tiny cards, oval in shape and with a diameter of about 8 centimeters, are cut to size, and the background is filled in using vegetable pigments.
ಶ್ವೇತೋ ರಕ್ತಸದಾ ಪೀತಃ ಕೃಷ್ಣೋ ಹರಿತಮೇವ ಚ ಮೂಲವರ್ಣ ಸಮಖ್ಯಾತ ಪಂಚ ಪಾರ್ಥಿವ ಸಪ್ತಮ ಅಂತ. ಬಣ್ಣಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಪೂರ್ವದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ ಋಷಿಗಳು ಬಣ್ಣಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮೂಲ ಬಣ್ಣಗಳು ಯಾವುದು ಅಂತ. ಇವತ್ತು ಮೂಲ ಬಣ್ಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಳಿ, ಕೆಂಪು, ಹಸಿರು, ಹಳದಿ, 5 ಮೂಲ ಬಣ್ಣಗಳು, ಕಪ್ಪು 5 ಮೂಲ ಬಣ್ಣಗಳಾಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಬಣ್ಣಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಭೂಮಿಯಲ್ಲಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ನೆಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಪರಿಮಳಯುಕ್ತವು ಮತ್ತು ದೀರ್ಘ ಬಾಳಿಕೆಯು ಬರುವಂತಹ ಈ ಮಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುವಂಥ ಗಿಡಮೂಲಿಕೆ ಬಣ್ಣಗಳನ್ನು ದೀರ್ಘವಾಗಿ ಬಾಳಿಕೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ.
A few quick strokes of the brush and a vision of another world come to life. A whole heritage of thought, feeling and creativity crystallized on a small piece of paper and cloth. Bhatta is clearly an innovator, yet he works within a context that is still traditional in nature. Does this mean that the distinctions between traditional and contemporary art are blurring?
The great thing about traditional art is it is functional, purely functional. The tea is there to put sugar in your tea, okay? But at the same time, the spoon is there for you to see. So it has a function as well as a value in itself. A lot of modern things don't have these two together. Or a cup, an old brass cup, is a beautiful thing in itself, and at the same time it is functional. Now what happens in a modern setup is, you may keep that spoon, but you will keep it as a museum piece. But in a traditional home, it was not a thing to look at only. It was a thing to use and a thing to look at. A cup, a brass cup was there to drink from and at the same time to look at. Even an eating plate. I think even a broom had its own function as well as its beauty. You know, if you go to any museum here, you know, Mysore has a beautiful museum of folk arts. You see a number of things in traditional homes which are good to look at by themselves and which are very functional. Now the problem with traditional art, even if I buy it, I may perhaps keep it in my showcase and not use it. Now take for instance these cards. Now they are not just works of art, they were used for playing a game. They had a function. And now I don't think that you will revive traditional art purely as things to acquire and look at. Somewhere they have to come back to its functional value also. So Raghupati Bhatt has that problem with those lovely cards he makes. And look at even that traditional art. After the Mughals, it was Hinduized, mythologized. So the traditional artists in the past adopted something which came to the country and then made it their own. And now Raghupati Bhatt uses a lot of folk designs. So he has further changed it. But I don't think that Raghupati Bhatt or any of us can bring it back unless there is a movement where this becomes again a game.
Today, Ganjifa is seen more as a miniature art form. The Lilliputian size of the card, with its intricate work and vivid art, conserve the space and is no less aesthetically pleasing than the larger paintings. Moreover, for art lovers around the country, these little masterpieces represent centuries of thought, feeling, and creativity crystallized on a few square centimeters of paper. Ganjifa as a game is practically extinct in India, but the cards have survived as collector's items and have influenced artists like Raghupati Bhatta to take up the art of miniatures.
Sahasrashisha Purushaha Sahasrakra Sahasrapad Sabhumim Vishwato Vrutvat Tyatidishta Dashangulam Purushaye Vedam Sarvam Yadbhutam Mecha Bhavyam Tyadi. ಈ ಒಂದು ಮಂತ್ರದ ಅರ್ಥ ಪುರುಷ ಸೂಕ್ತದ ನನ್ನ ಚಿತ್ರ. ಹೀಗೆ ಪುರುಷ ಸೂಕ್ತ ಚಿತ್ರದ ಮಹಾವಿಷ್ಣುವಿನ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನ ವಿರಾಟ್ ವಿಶ್ವರೂಪದ ಚಿತ್ರ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸೂರ್ಯಚಂದ್ರ ಮಹಾ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನ ಕಣ್ಣುಗಳು. ಹೀಗೆ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನಿಂದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಅಂಗಗಳಿಂದ, ಕಿವಿಯಿಂದ ಅಷ್ಟದಿಕ್ಪಾಲಕರು, ಬಾಯಿಯಿಂದ ಅಗ್ನಿ, ಮೂಗಿಂದ ವಾಯು, ಹಣೆಯಿಂದ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ, ವಿಷ್ಣು, ಮಹೇಶ್ವರರು ಇತ್ಯಾದಿ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲ ದೇವರುಗಳು ಒಬ್ಬ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅಂದರೆ ಇದರ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇಡೀ ಪ್ರಪಂಚಕ್ಕೆ ಒಬ್ಬನೇ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಆ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನನ್ನ ಬಗೆ ಬಗೆಯ ಜನರು ನಾನಾ ಬಗೆಯಿಂದ ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಆ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನ ಒಂದು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿರುವಂಥ ಈ ರೂಪವನ್ನು ಬರೀಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ಅನಿಸಿ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಗೆ ಬಗೆಯ ನೂರಾರು ಬಗೆಯ ಚಿತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ನಾನು ರಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
The world's most important art museum, the Victoria and Albert in London, houses a series of 60 Ramayana miniatures by Raghupati Bhatta. The modest and unassuming man has received several prestigious awards, including the Kamala Devi Chattopadhyaya Vishwakarma Award in 1985 and the President of India Award in 1993. There are very few makers of Ganjifa cards in India today. Most of the cards that are still made are sold to tourists and exporters.
Governments have always a role to play. You know, I was a student in England. Shakespeare is still alive in England. Shakespeare wouldn't be alive in England if it was left only to the market forces, because his language may not be understood by young people. There is a cultural policy to preserve Shakespeare. And Shakespeare theatre is subsidized. You know, if you don't subsidize theatre, theatre will die, because you cannot pay the actors and so on so much money and keep the place alive. So a very modern society like England has kept its Shakespeare and its Milton alive through a cultural policy. So we too have to keep our traditional arts alive until the day when it is no longer a museum piece but comes back to life. I think they will come back to life.
The legendary Wellington Lodge in Mysore houses an exclusive Ganjifa art gallery, the first of its kind, established in 1991. The personal collection of Bhatta's Ganjifa and the Ganjifas of other artists from Odisha and Rajasthan can be seen here. Raghupati Bhatta's wife, Ramya, pitches in to help and encourages him in his endeavor. Bhatta's doting mother sits silently and watches her son perform magic on the tiny cards. Today, Raghupati Bhatta is eager to pass on the tradition and the noble task of preserving this rich heritage to the younger generation. The Guru-Shishya Parampara is perhaps the most constant characteristic of our traditional artists. As an upcoming painter tries her hand at a new version of an old master, a feeling of continuity is established, creating in a very real sense a dialogue between old and new. that is deeply and timelessly rooted in India.